Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. So welcome everybody. It's a Wednesday. Here we are again. Another week has gone past us since the last podcast that we put out here with Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973. And as I said in the beginning, in the intro, I'm your host, Shane Lakita. So here we are, and we're in another podcast, another day, another dollar, another time period that we're all together just trying to go through life, achieve great things, and be able to do some things that we wanted to be able to accomplish. So thank you again so much for joining here on this podcast where we are discussing things. We're just talking almost like we're sitting around with a couple beers in hand or a couple coffees in hand as we are sitting around the table in the morning. And that is one of the reasons why it's called Coffee Talk. You know, some people have asked me that question before about what's the reason that the blog was called Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973 or the podcast is also called Coffee Talk. Well, that's the reason why. Because in the morning when I wake up and I get up first thing and I have my cup of coffee and I'm sitting around that cup of coffee and I'm thinking and I'm contemplating and I'm studying and I'm planning my day out or just reflecting on what my day might look like or what my last day looked like or anything like that. And I used to do that kind of like by myself, right? So that was my me time. As a matter of fact, when my wife first got together with me, she used to always have a cup of coffee and it would be sitting on the table for me because I was such a grumpy person when I got up in the morning and I would need that cup of coffee before I would even be able to talk to anybody. But that's because a lot of it was I just wanted to get right with myself, get right with the world, get right with what I wanted to accomplish, those kind of things. And that's part of my coffee time, right, for me. And so what I did was I used this opportunity to blog out or write out different thoughts that I might have had. That's how it all started with the blogging, where I was able to write down maybe a paragraph or two of just the thought that I was having on that day. So whether it was a good thought, a bad thought, a thought that I was just angry or upset about something, or I was just like in a mood of just celebrating and having a great time and wanted to celebrate in something really, really great. So that's kind of how it all started back in the day with Coffee Talk. And then it kind of bled over into this podcast where you and I are sitting around having a conversation. And I know that it's only a one-way speaker that it is here, and you hear me in your headphones, and you might be listening to me at midnight right now, or you might be out on the trail doing a walk or enjoying the sunshine or whatever else. But for me, it's during coffee time. And here we are, just you and me having a great conversation with coffee of us to be able to discuss things. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot of what Coffee Talk was all about to me and how it all started. And so since we've taken off with the podcast and with the blog and with all of those things, a lot of people are just curious around that piece of it. Now, as for the name Liquid Shano 1973, that's for another day for me to be able to explain to you what the reasoning behind that was. But we're going to go ahead and get things started with the podcast here, and we're going to go ahead and just kick it off. We're going to get right into our Wednesday and be able to get right into the meat and the content of this podcast to be able to set you off on the right foot and be able to push towards the weekend on positivity, okay? So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So if you could see it right now, you would actually see me jamming out as this outro or intro to the midpoint or the beginning section of this podcast. I'd be dancing. I'd be grooving right here in my seat, but that's okay because you don't want to see that. Nobody's got to see that unless you're coming to Arizona and you're coming out to Scottsdale, and then you'll be able to see me boogie on the dance floor where we are having a party out there in Scottsdale, which you've heard me talk about many times, and I won't beat that drum too much of a dead horse, but we are having a party out there. If you're interested in coming out to Scottsdale, Arizona on May 4th, where it is May the 4th be with you, where we're going to get out there in the desert to celebrate in the No Finish Line Nation community, and then just in us in general with all the different social media platforms, or what I have and what some other opportunities that we actually are able to connect with people. We're just going to celebrate in all different people that are in this journey and this lifestyle and everything else together. So come on out and join us if you're out there in Scottsdale. It's a hop, skip, and a jump out that way to be able to come over and just have a great date night. come out for dinner, drinks, and everything else. So, okay. So I didn't know I was actually going to open with that, but that's okay. That's what this podcast is all about. It's just me and you and the microphone and just talking about stuff. All right. So today's topic is all about preparedness. Okay, so this week I had a couple really good blog entries. One of them was about laughter and about making sure that we're continuing to stay focused on the positive side of things. So when life starts hitting you with a bunch of stuff and it's coming at you every direction, and here you are just trying to get through every day and just trying to be able to be a good dad, a good mom, just be a good parent or whatever you wanted to do, or a good kid, and you're just trying to be able to just be a positive influence, but it just seems that life just wants to deal you so many bad cards, and then you start getting in the space of, why would you deal me this many bad cards? So I wanted to focus a lot on what laughter was all about, and making sure that you focus on the positive side of things. So if your whys are your children, or your whys are your family, then focus on those whys and make sure that you're leaning in on that place of laughing and enjoying the moment. I know that the post that I put out yesterday was all about the fact that a baby, or I should say a child, laughs almost 300 times a day, where an adult only laughs an average of 20. I mean, that just blew me away. And why is that the case? Because we go to work. We grind. We're out there making it happen. We're not feeling that good about ourselves. We're trying to be able to stay healthy. We're trying to be able to stay in the zone. We're running. We're participating in things. We're on boards. We're in meetings. We're all kinds of stuff. Life just starts to happen. You got bills coming at you. You got mortgages. You got all this different stuff just facing you. And it's really hard to just every once in a while just start to laugh, right? It is for me anyway. And so I know that I have to focus on that. And I have to put some work into making sure that I can laugh and enjoy the moment. And I know I talk a lot about it on this podcast, where we sit down and we talk about making sure you're giving back to others to make yourself feel better, making sure that you are enjoying the moments with your family, and making sure you put the phones down and the tablets down and you just be in the moment and those kind of things. And you can embrace it, and you can engage with your surroundings and kind of be one with nature almost, right? And be making sure that you are somebody that is just enjoying the moment rather than letting the moment run you. So I felt that was a really, really important one to kick off into what today's is, but I just wanted to make sure I surface level talked about that, okay? I wanted to make sure that we just discussed it a little bit, because don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to put in a funny movie. Don't forget to read the comics. Don't forget to hang out with your children and your grandkids and just listen to how they laugh, and then let it give you permission to laugh along with them, because laughter is good for the soul. I know it's kind of high level, it's kind of hokey, some people might think, or even pie in the sky or Pollyanna or whatever, but laughter is the best medicine for a lot. It helps us with our health, it helps us with our brain, it helps us for stress levels, it helps us with endorphins and all the stuff that goes on in our brains and our minds and everything else. Instead of getting into the world of how much stress can I put on my body, it's really more about how much can I laugh and take some of that stress off of my body, because stress is one of the biggest killers we got out there, isn't it? I mean, stress is one of the things that literally will give you your heart attacks and will cause you to live shorter lives, because it's based on the fact that there's so much stress out there that there's a lot of times that we can't handle the situation. We can't handle the stuff, and our hearts start to fail, or our health starts to deteriorate because of the amount of stress levels. And the people that live in really, really high stress, high end jobs like that, you ever notice their health later on in life is really not that great, because they've lived so long in this stressful environment. Okay, so that's the first piece, is about laughter. It's about making sure that you take the time to engage with your loved ones, to engage with yourself, kind of take that moment for you to be able to step back and say, I need to make sure that I am laughing in the moment, embracing it, giving it a big hug, bringing it in, and making sure that you're in the moment and you're just feeling it out, and you can put all the stresses aside, at least for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. That's all you got. That's all it takes, is just a little bit of work for you to be able to put it out there, for you to be able to be successful and keep moving forward. So I want to share that with you, because that's the first part of this podcast, which it's going to lend nicely into the second part of the podcast, is about being prepared. Okay, so one of the things I posted about this morning was making sure that you give yourself the opportunity to prepare yourself for whatever's going to be happening in life. So if you're on the road and you're traveling and you're working or you're doing whatever, and you want to be able to set yourself up for success to be able to be prepared for whenever you're traveling, and you want to not slide into fast food joints, or you want to not slide into restaurants with fattening foods or those kind of things, and just go by the ease of the fact that you can put it in a brown paper bag and be able to take it to wherever you have to get to with the greasy fingers and the greasy mouth and everything else. And then you start feeling guilty about everything, and then and you're in a bad situation. Or you could be more prepared for bringing a lunch with you to work. If you're at a desk job and next thing you know, you're looking into the break room and you see these ginormously huge muffins and donuts and all the stuff that you have, that's all like layered out in the break room. It's just like a ton of things that are going on, right? And so you're looking at those things and they're staring at you and they're smiling at you and you're looking at them going, I cannot believe that all these people are bringing in all these bad foods. Well, so first of all, why do you think they're bringing all the bad foods into work? Because they want to get it off their shelves at home. So they bring it in and they lay them out in the break room countertop or whatever else you're going to be, wherever you put your break room food. But you know, and I know that those things stare at you. They call your name and they're doing everything that they need to do to make sure that you are going to eat them. And so if you prepare yourself where you can give yourself a healthier snack or you can give yourself your packed lunch, you're less likely to be able to step into there and be able to do it. As a matter of fact, you may be even more proud that you stopped and you didn't go do it. And you didn't go into the break room and you didn't go into the refrigerators where they have the Boston cream pies or the donuts or whatever else. And you were able to park in the space of, I made this sandwich for me, I made nice healthy snacks that were there, and I even have my own little indulgence that I have in my package that I put together for myself. So preparedness comes with that form also. It helps you to be prepared for your daily grind of where you're at. Another thing to be prepared for is for those hunger snacks. We know we all have them. We all have those moments during the day where we feel hungry. Well, it might be not necessarily that we're hungry, but we need something to be able to satiate that hunger or that pang that we're having, that we're going, hey, you know what? I'm kind of starving right now, so I need something to be able to do it. And this is where we get into the snacking aspect. This is where we dive into a bag of Lay's potato chips, or we dive into Oreo cookies or Reese's Cups or whatever else, because it's a quick snack and it's a sugar pick-me-up and boom, now I'm going. But if you bring a snack with you that's healthier, bring a snack with you that is a little bit more, that is jam-packed with just as much great stuff that's in it, but it's a healthier version of it for you, you're less likely to be able to dive into something that is just not very good for you. So whether it's things like health bars or things like granola bars or things like oh yeah bars or whatever it is, a quick snack or a fruit, you bring an apple, you bring a pear, you bring a banana or whatever it is, to be able to curb your appetite at that moment in time when you wanted to dive into something that was a little bit not good for you, I think is really important for preparedness. Remember, that's the theme of the second half, being prepared. Now, being prepared comes in many different forms. It's not just about food. It's not just about diving into the foods that you don't want to eat or diving into the things that you're not supposed to eat or those kind of things. But preparedness also comes in other forms. So how about being prepared with your schedule? So let's think about this for a second. Here you are during your day. You're in the middle of a work day, and if you're an employed person and you're going through your Monday through Friday, and you've got your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 6 or whatever job that you're working, and you're going through the day, and you're usually set on a schedule, right? You got a schedule, whether it's a meeting you're going to, whether it's something you want to do a presentation, or whether it's whatever it is, you guys usually have some sort of schedule that you're working. So it's whether it's the regular daily work schedule that you're working, or whether it's every little bit of your day that is mapped out. So have you incorporated, and here's another way of being prepared, have you incorporated a little bit of you time during that long, tumultuous day? Have you set aside a little bit of time for you to be able to meditate, if you like to do that, or do some sit-ups and push-ups, if you like to do that, or go for a 30-minute walk? Instead of sitting around in the break room with all those snacks and sugary sweets that are all around you, why not go for a walk? Why not incorporate something in with your lunch break for you to be able to get those endorphins going and get that energy going and do those things that are necessary for you to be successful in everything that you're trying to do? So think about all those things. Think about everything you're trying to be able to put in place and do the things that are necessary for you to do when it comes to setting yourself up for success during the day. Okay, so that's one of the ways of preparedness that's going to help you. So let's think about that also with when it comes to you time. So not only does it come with the whole schedule during the day and you're out there doing the grind and you're working your job and you're doing the things you have to do, setting the mind right, exercising, breathing, doing all those things. Those are so important because they're stress relievers. We just talked about earlier about relieving stress in your life. If laughter is a reducer of stress, then let's go ahead and incorporate that in with your day. The second piece of it is, how about preparing yourself when you get home? You're out all day. You drive home. It's 5 o'clock. You head home to be able to get to the house. You're starving because maybe you didn't eat as much as you should have during the day, but you feel good because you feel like you're within your calories, you're within your points. Then you get home, you're so hungry, and then you see something that's unhealthy or that's cooked at home or that you've got in the fridge as leftovers from pizza night or Chinese night or whatever it is, and then you stuff your face with that stuff. So food-wise, be prepared for that too. How have you set yourself up for success when you get home? How about having a crock pot filled with some lean meats or some lean veggies or those kind of things? Having a crock pot cooking and nice and hot when you walk in the door, and then boom, there you are. You're set yourself up for success. Or what about prepping your food? How about having your foods and your meals all set out so when you get home, you know exactly what you're going to be able to eat that night, and you're not going to be able to stray aside from what you wanted to be able to eat anything that was just unhealthy. So those are a couple things that you can do to be able to help yourself. So the second piece of it is home time is this. When you get home and you got kids, you got family, you got a wife, you got a husband, you got whatever it is, and you're home after a long day and you want to sit down and you want to relax. But what happens? A lot of times we pick up our phone, we pick up our tablet, we pick up whatever it is. We get into whether it's work-related emails that we just left after a 12-hour day, or whether it's family issues that are going on or whatever. Here's the thing. Set the time aside and be prepared for you to spend some time with your family. Some of the most precious time that you have is when everybody's awake and everybody's after a long day, and for you to be able to sit down and have a conversation around what that day looks like. So if it's your husband that came home from a long day of work right at the same time that you did, and you guys are sitting at the table, don't just talk about work or don't talk about those kind of things. Just engage with each other. Talk about things outside of it. Engage in a conversation that has less to do with stress, but more about the two of you. And engage in conversations that are a little bit more healthy and meatier and can help you feel better and set your mind in a better place of where you're at. How about when you're with your kids? Where after a long day of work, you get home, what do you want to do? 9 times out of 10, you want to grab a beer, do what you have to do, sit down, just relax, and really not deal with any more stresses. And our kids, although we love them completely, can sometimes add to the stress of where we're at because they're so high energy. They're needy. They're very much like, I want that. But think about that. They haven't seen you in 13, 14 hours. And they just want to see their dad or their mom. And they want to sit down with you. So use that as a moment to be able to set the time aside to engage with your kids. Engage with them. Sit with them. Be with them. Don't use the phones. Don't even turn off the TV and just be in the moment. Play some puzzles. Do something with them that's going to engage with them. They want to see you. You might think in your mind, in the back of your brain, that after a really long, stressful day, that they're just stressing you out, but they're not. They're not. You're their parent. Go be with them. Be with the people that you love. Set the time aside for you to do it. Be prepared for that. Book it in your schedule. If you're a schedule-related kind of person, you get your whole day scheduled out. You're booking your time, like I said earlier, with your breaks, your lunches, your meetings, whatever it is. Then you put the time aside to be able to say, I'm going to get my workout in for a little bit this way. I'm going to stand up and walk every hour for 5 minutes during this part of the schedule. And you set alarms in your calendar, and you're one of those schedule-oriented kind of people. Do it with your family also. They deserve it, and you deserve it. It's only going to help you in your stress levels. It's only going to help you be successful. And just like all the things that we're talking about here, if you're more prepared, you're going to be more successful. It's one leads to the other. It really does. Now, here's the back end side of this whole entire preparedness thing. We can build a schedule. We can be prepared. We can do everything. Life does sometimes just deal us some bad cards, and it literally wants to smack us in our face and literally wants to knock us down on the ground. It does. It's going to happen, right? So count on it. It's going to happen. But if you're more prepared for when that time does happen, you're going to be more successful to be able to attack it, to be able to respond to it, to be able to bob and weave to it, to be able to do whatever it takes for you to be successful and keep moving in the path of success for you to be moving forward. Preparedness and being prepared is a really important piece to our journeys, not just health related, but life related. Studies, being prepared, knowing what you're doing, read the books, investigate the situation. Would you go and stand in front of a group of 50 people to make a presentation if you weren't prepared, just winging it? No, most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. And if you are able to get up there and just wing it, then you are a pretty special person. But you're probably talking about something you're really passionate about, and what you're passionate about, you probably studied or you probably prepared for. So think about that. The more prepared you are, the better outcome will happen. It's a pretty simple equation. If you set yourself up with a great framework and a good base, it's less likely that your castle will crumble, right? If you have a really weak foundation and you're not really prepared for things and you're just winging it and you're hungry and you're stressed and you're doing whatever and you head out on the road without lunch packed or without having a plan or anything like that, and then the first time that you get stressed out or you get a phone call with somebody yelling and screaming or whatever else, you're going to go right through that drive-thru, you're going to eat that cheeseburger, you're going to eat that french fry, you're going to do whatever it takes, you're going to sit in your car and then feel completely guilty about everything you just did and how it ruined your whole day and how it ruined the whole journey that you're trying to be able to accomplish, and you're going to get in that headspace and then it all spirals from there, right? So be prepared. Set yourself up for success. Give yourself those happy moments. Give yourself those laughing moments, those engaging moments. And quite frankly, if everything is going on and your schedule is set out and you got everything all ready to go, you're good to go, and that schedule just is not going the direction you want it to, take 5 minutes, close your eyes, and breathe in and out for 5 minutes long. Go into a dark room. It's not meditation. I know some people are like, oh, meditation, yuck, gross. I'm talking about just take time for you to decompress. Life can get really hard and stressful. Decompress. Close your eyes. Just think of nothing. Think of the dark space around you and just breathe in and out and focus on that breathing. 3 seconds in, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 seconds out, and just go through your breathing and make sure that if everything is falling apart, take that time for yourself, because every single time that I've done that, I'm only speaking from experience, every single time that I have taken the time to breathe in and out, go into a dark space and decompress, every time I've come out going, I can handle this. I'm good to go. It just resets the mind. So if that is your panic button, that's your get out of jail free card, or that's your pull when in case of emergency, that's what you have to do at that moment in time to just stop everything and do that, then do it. Do what works for you. If you've got to go into the gym and grab 50-pound dumbbells and just start cranking them to be able to release those endorphins, release that stress and do whatever, do it. You're worth it. You're worth the investment. Okay, so that's the podcast today, folks. We're talking about making sure we bring laughter back in and we stay in the space of positivity and making sure that that helps to alleviate some stress. And then we're talking about being prepared to also relieve some of that stress that we have in our lives. You're worth the investment to take the time to prepare yourself to be ready for when life happens around you, okay? Have an amazing day, and we'll talk later. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquid Shano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquid Shano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.